everyone. I'm Robin Boyd, and welcome to the new episode of Kept Woman Conversations. Today, we're excited to bring you discussions that will provoke your thought processes and address the various situations we find ourselves in, especially those that are traumatic and can throw us off our journeys. Join us as we delve into the vital conversations, exploring the challenges we face and the resilience we find within ourselves. Through sharing your experiences and insights, we hope to illuminate the paths toward healing and growth. Today, my guest is Tamika Ellington, PhD. She is an author, a speaker, and all things phenomenal woman. Hi, Tamika. How are you? I'm so excited to have you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the invitation. I'm excited to hear this conversation. I can't wait to hear the questions that you have for me, and I can only imagine what kind of conversation we're going to have. So, yes.
Well, you and I are well acquainted, and
Yes.
we've had some very deep discussions.
Yes.
And that's that's the reason why I invited you to be on the show because I
Yes.
knew you would be such an asset. So let's get to the nitty gritty. Let's dive
Okay.
in. So, you talked to me about emotional abuse
Yeah.
from your ex-husband.
Yeah.
Okay. He exhibited those narcissistic behaviors that a lot of men are exhibiting today, that we're hearing a lot about in social media and in the news. How did those challenges with him impact your self-worth and your approach to relationships moving forward? How does that affect you now?
Well, my ex-husband was a interesting one because not only did he have narcissistic tendencies, but he was also the kind of person that's codependent. So
Mm,
he's the kind of person who needs to be needed. He doesn't feel comfortable if his woman doesn't, quote unquote, need him for something.
mm,
And because I'm the kind of person that I am, I'm a very independent person. And I always told him, I don't need you, but I want you. And that was
yes.
something that he just could not accept. He needed somebody to really need him. And the verbal abuse was his way of being able to control the situation. Oftentimes, people that are codependent, they try to do everything they can to control the person that they're in this codependent relationship with because they're afraid that the person's going to leave. And so he would do things, say things to make me feel guilty. I was actually just on the phone with my mom just a few minutes ago, and she was talk. We were just having a conversation, and she said, "Nope, I'm not going to let you say that because this is some things that you've been feeling guilty about based on what happened in your previous relationship." She said, "I'm not going to let you keep
Mm,
feeling guilty because a person that is codependent and also has narcissistic tendencies, they throw the guilt trip on you to get you to do whatever they want you to do." And so
mhm.
a lot of the verbal abuse was all about control, and it was about him making me feel guilty.
That was something that I did not understand as it was going on. And after leaving, it took me a while to understand that the words were not true or
Mm,
that he really feel that way.
mm, mm.
I thought that what he said out of his mouth, that's what it was. And kind of like when, somebody's under the influence and you say a drunk man's mouth is a sober man's mind kind of thing.
Mhm, mhm.
So, yeah, it
Yeah.
took me a while to understand that.
Well, you know what? I dealt with that too because after I left the marriage, I kept
Mhm.
hearing in my ear him saying things to me like, "Well, do you think you're really going to be smart enough to own your own business? Do you think you really
Wow.
can do that? I don't know if you would be good at that." Instead of him encouraging me, he would say negative things to try to dissuade me from doing it. And that played in my mind for a long time. And I still battle that. Every now and again, when I'm trying something new, I'll hear him in the back of my mind.
Did he say it like attacking you, or did he say it casually?
It don't matter how he said it. The
No,
fact
I
that,
was just wondering.
right, right.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter. If he could have said it
Hmm.
with the most loving voice, your
Hmm.
partner is supposed to be there to support you. And any
They are.
dreams that you have, you know, even if he didn't think I knew how to do it, he should be helping me try to get the resources so that I can figure it out.
Yes,
You
exactly.
know,
Yes.
and it's, yeah. And the thing is he knew that I was more than capable, but he was just trying to keep me from doing the things that he didn't want me to do.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Hmm. So you talked about your independence. You know, you have this financial independence. How how did that affect your personal identity? How did your ex-husband's jealousy over your financial success affect the relationship? What else did he do besides trying to verbally abuse you? Did he put like roadblocks in your way? You know, did he shame you with the children? What else did he do to put up those that block so you wouldn't go over to the other side? What did he do?
It was the guilt trip. It was the guilt trip. Before I got to a point in my life where I was making similar amounts of money as him, I would
Hmm.
always depend on him and he would give me allowance every month. And
Hmm.
so when I got to a point in my career where I no longer needed the allowance, and I told him, I said, well, the money that you would have that you would have typically given me, just take that money and do some other things with it. Maybe we can invest or whatever, whatever. Um, because I didn't need the money anymore from him.
Hmm.
I started noticing a lot of things changing in our relationship because I no longer quote unquote needed him. And so he would like give me like little jabs here and there. Um,
Hmm.
for instance, I was in the process of trying to start my business, and I was in the initial stages of everything. And I would only have Sundays to work because he worked from Monday through Saturday. And only time I had to myself to work on my business was on Sundays. And so
Okay.
during COVID, I remember him coming into my office and asking me some questions about something that the kids needed to, for whatever. And I said, well, I'm sitting here, I'm working. I said, I'm working on my business. This is the only day of the week that I have. And his response to me was, oh, yeah, I forgot you were checked out.
Wow. Wow. Wow.
And
Wow.
so he would say these little things. It wasn't like outright,
Hmm.
overt verbal abuse. It was these little subtle things that he would say that
Hmm.
let me know that he was not supportive in what I was wanting to do at all.
Hmm.
And I think
Well,
that's the
kudos to
worst because
you.
I think that's the worst though, because it makes you question, did I really hear what I heard? You know?
You question everything. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Well, you transition into a best-selling author, a
yeah,
speaker,
yeah.
and how did that define your empowerment? Did it help you become more empowered? With
It
coming out of
yeah,
that relationship.
it did. It did. I think I was always a powerful person, but I think it allowed me to channel that power into a space that I could help other women. And also too, because I knew I wasn't getting support from him, I needed to be as strong as I could because I needed to be an example for my kids. I
Mhm.
wanted them to see why mommy decided the things that she decided. Why did she decide to
Okay.
leave, the marriage and everything? I needed the kids to be able to see that I'm actually doing something important, and it's a real reason why I felt like I had to leave the marriage in order for me to do the things that I want to do. Because honestly, the way that I'm in my business now, I could not have been in like that in my business while I was married because my ex-husband would
Mhm.
not have allowed it. So I had to leave him and then start my business.
Hmm. I see.
Yeah.
I see. What key things would you like to share with women that are going through oppressive relationships? With their self-esteem, their financial independence, their mental health. What can you share with us?
I would say reflect on why you're being oppressed. There's a reason why that person is oppressing you. Are they oppressing you because they don't feel that they are capable of doing some of the things that you're capable of doing? Are they trying to hold you back from making decisions that they don't want you to make? I think that was something that really helped me when I started really reflecting why I was being verbally abused. And once I understood why, then that's when I was able to start making some moves and some decision as to whether or not I was going to stay in that relationship. But if you don't question why, and if you just think that this is just the way it is, I think you'll be trapped. But as soon as you start asking yourself, so why did he say that to me? Like, why did my ex-husband tell me that instead of me being a good mother, I was a checked out mother? Why did he
Mm-hmm.
tell me that? Because I know that I'm not a checked out mother. He told me that
Mm-hmm.
so that he can control me to get me to do what he wanted me to do, you know? So ask and reflect on why. Why are you being abused?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I it took me to be away from the situation to understand these things because as you're going through it,
Mm-hmm.
so wrapped up into it, and
Yep.
especially like you're working, you're trying to start a business, you're not really rationalizing things correctly,
Yep.
but you think you are, but you're not.
Yeah. Yeah. It
Yeah.
took me, I would say, Robin, after I left the marriage, for a whole year after that, I was just in a cloud. Like my mind, like I couldn't like my mind just
Hmm.
wasn't working. And
Yeah.
after about that year is when I started reflecting on the relationship, and I broke down and was like, oh my gosh, like this whole time I've been manipulated. This whole time I've been dealing with
Mhm.
verbal abuse, because when I was in it, I didn't realize that I was dealing with verbal
Yeah.
abuse.
Yeah. Yeah. You knew something wasn't right, but it takes you to be away from it. Like you said, it
Mm-hmm.
took a year.
Mm-hmm.
You're like
Mm-hmm.
in this fog, you think you're
Yeah.
functioning. And then the next year after that, you're like, wait a minute, I thought I was doing
Yep.
something over here, but I wasn't. I
Mm-hmm.
know exactly what you're talking about.
Yep.
So what do you carry forward in your life and career now? How do you put that back there and now here's how I'm going to be? What do you carry forward with you? What is your
You know,
thinking?
my biggest thing is I don't want to disappoint myself. I don't want to disappoint the creator. God gave me a lot of talents and gifts, and it's my responsibility to display those gifts and show those gifts and express those gifts. And I think that if I stay stagnant where I am and stay in a mindset where I'm, feeling guilty about being who I am, then I won't really be expressing the full expression of who God made me to be. And so that's what keeps me going now, is that I know that God gave me gifts, and it would be a sin for me not to show those gifts and share those gifts with other people.
So on your entrepreneurial journey, how do you balance your responsibilities and being a mother? You're a professional, so how do you balance the motherhood in your entrepreneurial journey?
It's challenging. It's challenging.
Hmm.
One thing that has helped is that now, because of the fact that we're divorced, we have 50-50 custody of the children. And
Okay.
the times when I'm not with the boys, I do my best to try to get as much work done as I can, so that when I'm back with them, I can be able to spend the necessary time with them. But it's challenging. It really is challenging, especially when you're a single parent and trying to be an entrepreneur and everything else. And one of the things that has helped me is I try to be real open with the kids about what I'm doing. If I have a
Hmm.
speaking engagement that's local, if they want to come with me, I take them with me so that they
Hmm.
can see what I'm doing. And I think some of the best speaking engagements that I've had is when my kids have accompanied me
Oh,
to
okay.
those engagements, because they get to see what their mom is actually doing. And so that's been beautiful. It really has. But it's a challenge to balance life in general. Like, even if you're
Hmm.
not a mom, if you're trying to have a personal life, if and we've talked about that before. Like, it's hard to balance everything. And I think my biggest challenge is staying focused. That's my biggest challenge. I'm like,
Yeah,
man, have I
everybody.
in my old age, have I developed adult ADHD or something? Because I cannot stay focused. I cannot stay focused. So,
Yeah.
mm-hmm.
So I have a business coach and she has when you first start working with her, you have to list each area in your life, like health, fitness, your career, your speaking, your author, everything you have going on. And you have to write down what your support is in that area. And I was like,
Ooh,
wow, I'm already
ooh,
I'm like, wow, I got a lot of work to
wow,
do here.
wow.
But she says that, to be the successful um, uh, entrepreneur that you want to be, you have to have support in every area of your life because you cannot work all day and then come home and cook and clean for the kids and do homework and worry about what's going to happen tomorrow, and then all of these things, you have to have support. And that's
Mhm.
within a business too. You have to have a team.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
So like you need some teamwork at the house too.
yeah, yeah,
So that's, I know you have a team, but like we have to have. I have hybrid people that help me personally in business
yeah,
because
yeah,
if I didn't have that, yeah, it
yeah. Me
wouldn't.
too. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So, in wrapping up today, I want to ask you a very, very important question. What does being kept, a kept woman, mean to you?
When I reflect on what that means for me, throughout my entire life, I truly believe that God kept me in mind for all things that He had planned out for me. I grew up in the inner city of Cleveland, and I grew up in a space where people were just trying to survive. There was no thriving in life and trying to excel, to be excellent, to do things in your life. Everybody was trying to survive. And God planted in my mind at a very early age that I could live a different life. And that really has taken me through from being that young inner city girl in Cleveland to being able to travel the world and doing some of the amazing things that I get to do today is because I knew that God kept this idea in my mind that I could have and I deserve to have something different. And that's, I think, what being a kept woman is for me, is knowing that God has kept this idea of who He wants me to be, and He has shown me the path along the way. It's almost kind of like, when they say God will only show you the steps that you need, like He'll have a candle there lit for you, and He'll only show you those footsteps that you need in order to be able to get to the next step. Once you get to that step, then He'll show you the next step. And so that's really what God has been doing. He's been keeping me in that way. He's been showing me step by step what it is I need to do in this life in order to be able to really fully express the full version of who He wants me to be.
You and I have such a similar story. And that's one of the reasons, what you just said is the reason why I named the book what I named it, Kept Woman.
Yeah,
And yeah, just he's given us his grace, his mercy,
absolutely.
and always there. He's always right there with us, no matter how bad our situation is at the time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, it's something else that we're either being directed to or um, pushed away from,
Yep.
and we just pay attention.
Yep. And that's what I was gonna say. I think, being a kept woman is like you have to always have your ear open to
Yeah.
listen. You always have to have your ear open.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, I thank you so much, Dr. Tamika Ellington, for being transparent with us today and sharing your story. We really appreciate you for taking the time out for today.
Absolutely. It was my pleasure. Thank you so much, Robin.
Okay, thank you. What a great episode today with Dr. Tamika Ellington. Thank you so much for being transparent and sharing with us. Thank you, thank you, thank you. What can we do in our lives to be kept women? What does that mean for you? And to have God's grace and mercy over your life. Wow. Don't forget to stay tuned in with us. Like, share, subscribe to this Kept Woman channel. And stay tuned for more wonderful episodes. We're going to get deeper and deeper into the issues that happen through this book, and that we hope to inspire other women to come forward with their stories, to be transparent, to write down their memoirs, and to contact Hacienda Publications to do so. Thanks again and see you soon. See ya!